Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much if you're returning to join me again. And for those of you that are new, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And to those of you that have made contributions to me on a financial matter, I really appreciate that as well, because part of what we have to understand about fifth dimensional consciousness, which is where we're heading to, is that we have to support each other. We have to take care of each other, right? So in one sense, I take care of you and providing you with all of this information on how to navigate your reality. And for those of you that are recognizing the worth and significance in that work, your offerings to me are tremendously helpful in keeping this channel going, as well as some of the other offerings that I have and the project that I'm working on that you can all benefit in. Okay, so it's really important when we move into a fifth dimensional consciousness, nobody suffers from lack, right? Nobody is going to be without. So getting into the habit now of supporting your fellow human being is going to be critical as we move through this next half of the year, because we're going to see a lot of changes that are going to facilitate that for us on higher levels, right, through the government, but we're also going to need to do that for each other. That's fifth dimensional consciousness, unity consciousness. Nobody is left behind. And so sometimes what I do is, my way of giving back, aside from the free information that I give, is to go into the grocery store and buy a few gift cards from the grocery store. And then I will either, if I'm checking out first and there's somebody behind me online, I will give the cashier extra money for the next order that comes behind me, so that I'm paying for some of their food. It's like, you know, people that go through Starbucks and pay for the order for the car behind them. It's the same principle, but we're just recognizing that we're all one. We're all part of the same system. So for those of you who are recognizing that already, good job. And in helping out your fellow human, because this is where we're headed to. That is fifth dimensional consciousness. When everybody finally gets on board and starts caring about each other, we'll start to see everything change. It's going to be amazing, but it's going to take some work. And we individually, as well as collectively, are the ones that need to make those changes happen, which is why I feel it's so important to give so much information away, because it's part of, you know, what we're doing to bring through that new energy that we want to change the planet over again to that new earth energy here. Okay, so I hope that makes sense for you. And just think about it in your day-to-day travels. If you could do something nice for someone, try. You know, do I get to do that every day? No, because obviously, you know, my funds are relative to what I'm bringing in. So sometimes I can do much more and others I can't do as much. But believe it or not, when you do for others, it always comes back to you tenfold. It always does, okay? And that's part of this process of letting go of lack consciousness, because when we hold a program where we are fearing we don't have enough money, or we're not going to be okay financially, we can't pay our bills, that's lack consciousness. And a lot of that has to do with the programming that we were brought up under, where you heard, you know, well, money doesn't grow on trees, or, okay, I'm going to give it to you, but this is my last dollar, or, you know, a lot of other things, right? Look, there's dust in my wallet, or, you know, a lot of that type of stuff, right? Or you're hearing constantly the stories of how your family might have grown up poor, or in hard times, or in hardship, and how they had to work hard. And then some people are coming in with imprints. So it's imprinted from the soul family, at the soul family level. And then you're coming in to play that out and work that out through, you know, your physical reality and what you're bringing forward. So we're always working. I went through this my whole entire life with lack consciousness, not recognizing the importance of not making money. You know, hold an important place because everything is vibrational. And if you go back to the work that I've put out prior, the videos that I have prior on vibrational currency, and then there's another one on, I think it's perception, right? If you look for those two videos, everything ties into itself. So what's happening when we're holding lack consciousness and we're feeling like we're not having enough, I don't have enough, I can't share, I don't have enough to give you, whether it's food or money or anything else, that's lack consciousness playing out. Within us somewhere is some kind of information that says, I'm not going to have enough. If I give it to you, I won't have any, right? And so that is a program that's running that we need to clear. That's an old belief system that's coming up. That's a pattern of a way of speaking to ourselves that we're just not having enough, right? So we want to make sure that we're changing all of that and becoming very conscious and aware of the words that we're speaking in. And so this is kind of where it starts, right? So I remind you, some of you get triggered by that reminder of the, you know, when I give the appreciation for the contributions and the donations that you guys make, there are those that get triggered by that. And that is good because it's bringing up that awareness in you that if you're being triggered through me mentioning this, that you have work to do as far as lack consciousness and money is concerned. Okay, so that's what that's all about. And again, remember, everything is vibrational. So if you're holding money at a very, very high vibration, then you're perceiving that money is so important that it's hard to come by or it's hard to attain. Okay, and so what happens in that moment is you're perceiving yourself as less than, as not capable of attaining that money. So you're putting yourself in a lower vibratory state of being. So this is where we start to play into frequencies, which is my next talking point. So frequencies are part of dimensions, right? They are, if you think about the third dimension, is very dense, and it basically holds polarity and duality. And that's really what the third dimension was constructed to do. Polarity and duality, which means that if we can experience love, we can also experience hate. And if we can experience joy, we can also experience pain. So everything is polarized in the third dimensional frequency. Then we have fourth dimension, which has been the place of the astral realm or the astral plane, where we've always gone into dream state, right? For the duration of our lives, from this point back, we've always played in dream state in fourth dimensional astral plane, okay? One of the things that most were not aware of is that that astral plane, that dimension, that fourth dimensional state of being, holds many frequencies that make up that dimension, whereas third dimension doesn't have many, fourth dimension has many. Okay, and then fifth dimension I kind of perceive as having like maybe two, and it's not like fourth dimensional consciousness. So 4D having many frequencies, I always get a visual from my higher self that 4D is like your radio in your car. So there's a low end of the radio station and a high end of the radio station, and if you're at the low end of the radio station, you're going to get the lesser channels that are not, maybe not going to tune in as well, not going to be as clear, not going to be as powerful as some of the stations that are in the higher frequency range. Okay, and so it's the same thing with us when we're tuning in to things that are very important to us, right? So how we speak to ourselves when we're using words that are held in a higher vibration, those words bring us into a higher frequency. So it's like tuning the dial to that radio station and leaving the lower frequency for the higher frequency, okay? And the higher the frequency, usually the better the reception on it. But in this case, it's more about our awareness of what is transpiring in our reality. So if you think about it from this perspective, we know 3D is where we can create pain and then suffer. So we're creating the pain through a perception that we're holding of something that is not maybe to our liking, right? And then in that perception of what we're not liking, then we believe that we need to suffer because it's just how it works, that we are meant to suffer because this is not working out for me again, and I'm not maybe deserving of something better, and so I'm supposed to suffer. And so then we create the suffering, okay? But if we could think about it from this perspective, and this is what my higher self showed me yesterday during a client session, which is why I want to make this video, is that if you think about each dimension, especially fourth dimension, as having many different frequencies to it, it would be like you step into a large building, and that large building represents fourth dimension. And the first thing that you enter into when you open the door and enter that building is a room. And you're in that room, and that room is represents a lower spectrum of the fourth dimensional frequency. So when you step into that room, you see a folding chair and one window, and it doesn't look very appealing, and it has maybe a glass of water. Maybe it's a plastic cup full of water for you that's sitting there, and there's nothing else, right? And so after a while of being in that room and finding your comfort in that room and suddenly being okay with how the room looks, even though you don't love it, and you're finding your happiness, and instead of sitting there feeling sorry for yourself, you're starting to sing songs and starting to feel better about where you are because it's a safe room and you're feeling safe and secure. And even though visually you don't love it, you're starting to feel comfortable on your folding chair, having your plastic cup of water. And then all of a sudden, at some point, you notice that another door has opened on the wall in this room. And you're like, well, that's funny. I didn't notice that door before. Let me go through it. So you open the door and you go through the doorway into the next room. And into the next room, there's two windows. And this time there are curtains on the windows. And the room is painted in a nicer color that's more to your liking. And the folding chair has been replaced by a sturdy wooden chair, and the cup of water that was in the plastic cup is now in a glass. So you have a glass of water, you have a sturdy wooden chair, you have two windows instead of one, and the windows have curtains on them, and the room is painted in a more pleasing color. And you think to yourself, yeah, okay, this is really nice. I kind of like this. And your awareness of taking all of that in and saying, well, this is much better than where I was a few minutes ago, and I'm just going to sit here and rejoice in the fact that I'm in this better place. I'm liking this a lot more than I liked that. So what ends up happening in that moment is you suddenly shift your frequency up into a happier state of being. Now, after a while, that happier state of being, if you're holding that state and really enjoying and appreciating where you are in that room, all of a sudden another door opens up and you're like, oh, I didn't notice that door before. Let me go through. You go through the door, and then suddenly you notice that the room is different again. And you like the color of the room even more than the last room. And now there are 3 windows in the room instead of 2, and they have beautiful curtains on them. And the chair is not a hard wooden chair anymore. The chair is a plush, comfy chair. And you might even notice that there is a small bookshelf that has maybe 4 or 5 books on the shelf. And on the shelf is a glass of water. And this time the glass of water has ice and a piece of lemon in it. And you think to yourself, wow, this is really interesting. Now, I really like this room a lot. It feels very comfortable. I can sit down, I can relax, I can have access to so much more in this room. Now is a cold glass of water and some books and whatnot. And so what you make with that room is going to fill up your inner being so that you can visualize that next step for yourself. and then the door will appear and you'll go into the next room, and the next room will be even more amazing. Well, this is how the dimensions work. They're frequencies, right? It's a spectrum of frequencies, and especially 4D, which is why I post about the rainbows all the time, because when we get up into the higher realm of 4D, we're up in the rainbow part of 4D, because where the rainbows are in the higher frequencies of 4D, you have to remember that rainbow light frequency is also the rainbow bridge portal for exiting the earth plane. So those that are going to want to exit and not go into fifth dimensional consciousness are going to do so through the rainbow bridge portal. Those of us that are ascending into 5D are going to use that rainbow bridge portal to get into that 5D state of consciousness. And we know that 5D state of consciousness because it feels so blissful. We feel so incredibly happy, right? And it's that moment where you're so happy, you don't know why you're happy, you just feel happy for no reason. Okay, so really important to have this awareness that we are playing in frequencies, and that's why it's important for us to do our work. The more we can be present in our awareness of everything that is playing out in our reality and choosing higher, not choosing to root into the emotion of what does not make you feel good, but choosing higher. Oh, I see this. Okay, that is what it is right now, but I'm not going to let myself go into suffering or go into anger or go into frustration, because I know the minute I let go of needing to have a certain outcome to that, it's going to shift away from me and it's going to shift me up further into a higher place of being. Okay, you have to remember 4D also represents our state of awakening, right? So when we just awaken, we're at the lower spectrum of 4D, and in that lower spectrum of 4D, we're still afraid of entities, we're still afraid that we can, you know, have night terrors and sleep paralysis and all this other stuff, right? And then bad dreams and shadow people and all that kind of stuff. And what the higher we go, when we get into the higher spectrum of 4D and then the lower 5D or 5D in general, we're not concerned about that anymore, because we recognize that we're creating our reality in every single moment. So if we're experiencing some kind of a, you know, an entity or an attack or anything like that, then we're needing to have that in order to strengthen our inner resolve. We're needing to have that experience until we're ready to say, hey, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not gonna be afraid of an entity, because I know I'm stronger than that, right? When I started to realize this or experience this, it was in dream state. And the first time it happened, I was attacked by this entity. I was going, in my dream, I was going to, I think, a baby shower or something. And then all of a sudden, the people walked so far ahead of me that I was kind of in the hallway by myself, and the hallway turned gray, and then a demon appeared. And then I started to have to defend myself. And then all of a sudden, I just clicked on that higher aspect of myself, and I started yelling at the top of my lungs at the demon, I am love, I am light, I am love, I am light. And I just kept screaming it over and over again. And the demon just kind of like poof, disappeared. And it happened a second time, like months later. This is years and years ago, so I don't remember the details that well, but it happened again. And the minute that I saw that I was being attacked by an entity, I just stood there with my hands on my hips and started screaming at it. I am love, I am light, you can't hurt me. I am love, I am light. And it kind of just like poof before anything even happened, okay? So we have to remember that that's all part of us. It's part of what we're creating in order for us to be able to experience this, so that we can raise our consciousness and raise our vibration, right? Because we're creators of all of it. Everything that we perceive on the outside is really what's taking place on the inside. This is just a holographic projection that we're experiencing. So when you start to realize you're creating all of it, that's where the mastership comes in. That's where you start to transition and no longer are affected in the lower timelines, and everything is here for the benefit of raising your awareness and helping you to raise your vibration, right? So that is really So important. And for those of you that are experiencing, you know, bad dreams right now, because I know some of you have said that you're experiencing some bad dreams and whatnot. Um, those bad dreams are actually the shadow self working itself out in dream state. Okay, so other aspects of you, fractals of you that you are not capable of dealing with in the present state of awareness in the physical yet, are being worked out through the sleep state as we're integrating and alchemizing these timelines, right? And I've talked about this and how this works since back in January. So if you're uncertain, I have videos on it. You can also go to my Instagram account, where if you go back to January, probably the very beginning of January, start to talk about what we're transitioning to with the alchemization of these timelines. Okay, very, very important stuff. So that's how that all works. And it's very important for us to stay in the present moment. And so now this is the next talking point, which is staying in present moment awareness. So some of you, after my last video, you know, wrote to me and said, what are you doing? Like, what makeup are you wearing? Because your skin always looks so good lately. And, you know, what is your makeup routine and stuff? Well, I have to tell you, I don't wear makeup. I don't wear a foundation at all. I wear a little bit of blush. I have a little bit of lip gloss on. The eyeliner that I have is actually my eyeshadow, because I don't really wear much eyeshadow or makeup in general, just the blush, the lip gloss, mascara, and I use my eyeshadow as a eyeliner, because I don't really like the way anything feels on my skin lately. Now, I'm an herbalist, and I've been an herbalist for, I don't know, probably like 10 or 11 years now. And I started out making regular herbal medicines. And then probably about 2-3 years ago, I got involved in making skincare products for myself. I don't sell them or anything yet, but I make them for myself. And so I started playing out with different formulas of, you know, high quality oils, you know, like cosmetic grade oils. And so I started to research what different oils do, like rose hip seed oil and jojoba and avocado oil and stuff like that, right? And then I started to, some of them I can't even say, like tamanu and kukui nut and like all these different oils. And I started just playing with all of these oils, and I started to look at them. I'm not really good with science and chemistry, so I did my best to understand the fatty chains and the lipids and all of that, and just started to kind of play around with different oils. And now I have two. I have a serum for nighttime and I have a serum for daytime. I use a rose water hydrosol spray on my face twice a day, in the morning and at night. And then I put my serum that I make on, and I don't use sunblock at all, because I haven't used sunblock. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you the last time I used sunblock, because, you know, I know that it is one of the leading causes for cancer, for skin cancer. And so I don't use it. And so because of the work, what's happened is I go into the sun, and I was in the sun, not yesterday, but the day before yesterday, probably a solid 3 hours. And you know, the sun has been very, very strong lately. And I was on a solid 3 hours. And any other time in my life, like when I was young, I probably wouldn't have even really gotten any color, because I'm pretty fair. But now what happens is my skin doesn't burn at all, just doesn't even turn red. I had no block on. I was in for a solid 3 hours, and the result is what you're seeing sitting in front of you right now. And what I can attribute that to, the whole anti-aging process, is that from a quantum perspective, this is really why I look so much younger than I am, because Because from a quantum perspective, I live in the present moment every day. I've trained myself to do that over the years, living in the present moment every single day. And when I forget and I slip out either to the future or go back to the past, I would call myself back and just be like, nope, got to stay here, got to stay right in the present moment. And doing that tunes us into that quantum field. And when we tune into the quantum field, we might experience like 3 hours of time feeling like 15 minutes. So the only aging I've done in that 3-hour period of time is that 15 minutes that 3 hours actually felt like, because I don't hold an expectation of anything and I just fill myself with joy and happiness. So for those of you that don't feel happiness or don't feel joy most of the time, it's because we are the creators of all of it for ourselves. Okay. So again, let me say this: anti-aging, if you are wanting to experience a healthier you, it requires getting present and staying in the present moment, right? It's very, very important. And when we are in the present moment, we could have 3 hours go by and that 3 hours feels like it happened in 15 minutes. So the only aging that I am going to do is that 15 minutes worth of aging, not that 3 hours worth of aging. Okay, that's really important awareness to have. So when you're present and you're in the quantum field in the now. And there is no expectation for what is going to take place in your reality. And that's just how it works. Okay, so it's really important because being in the now is what's going to create your future. And so we want to be as present as possible so that we're creating the best opportunity for our future. Okay, that's really important. And I will tell you, I have so many moments that let me know that I'm in the quantum field, because this morning when I had gotten up to get myself going and get prepared for my day and everything, I was in the kitchen and, you know, having a cup of coffee, and I turned around for a second and I was in the process of going, okay, so what day is today? Because I don't really focus or pay attention to the days like that. I just don't. And I thought to myself, so today's November. And then I was like, wait, that doesn't sound right. November. Where'd that come from? And in that moment, I just laughed, because I'm like, okay, so I have, again, feeling that quantum leap, that quantum jump in the quantum field out into November, right? So whatever is being created, it's being created with the intention. So right now I am creating without my awareness, because I'm very much in the present and I have no expectation, but I am creating in the quantum field something that is going to be playing out in November, December, because also December was coming up. So I'm kind of excited about this to see what it is that I'm going to be manifesting, because I don't know. And personally, I don't really care, because I know it's going to be great, because that's how we do this. That's how we do this. We're not, and my expectation is never for anything bad. I'm not going to manifest anything bad. I'm going to keep manifesting higher level stuff, because that's where I want to play. That's where I want to be, right? So hopefully this information has helped you. This is, you know, just, you know, my techniques and tools for doing this. That's really what this is. And so hopefully you're benefiting from it. It resonates with you. And if you find yourself getting triggered by any of it, just take a breath and listen again. A lot of times that trigger is the ego getting in the way and wanting to steer you away from stuff that's going to help you, especially quantum, especially the stuff that's going to bring you into the higher elevated states of being, right? And so I will tell you this, I will share this with you, which is what I, you know, a lot of people know me for this, is when I start to feel like I'm slipping lower than where I want to be with my thoughts and my emotions, which doesn't happen often anymore because I'm in the process of present moment all the time, I go and I sit down and I color, I paint, I write, I do something creative. Creativity is fifth dimensional consciousness. Okay, so if you're feeling lack, if you're feeling less than, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling stressed out, it's only because our human mind has been trained over the years and taught to believe over the years that we're only good when we have a lot of people around us. We're only good when we have a significant other, right? We're only good when we have somebody else with us that we could partner with. We're only good when this happens. We're only good when that happens. That's programming and that's training. And I had to break it too, which is how I know all of this, okay? I went through some serious stuff these last 7 years, like serious stuff, which is how I've gotten to here. So you want to break all of that and you want to break depression, you find something creative to do. Do something creative, okay? If you love to go bike riding, get on your bike and go and start to experience, you know, what's playing out around you, the earth, the trees, the squirrels, wherever you are, experience, you know, earth, okay? Paint, draw, sing, dance, anything creative, color, get a coloring book and colors, right? Anything, okay? Whatever is going to get you into that place of joy where you're feeling fulfilled from within. We have to start feeling fulfilled from within before we can become fulfilled without, right? I cannot feel fulfilled with another person in my life until I can feel fulfilled within myself. Because otherwise, my expectation is going to be for that person to constantly fulfill me. That's not how this works, okay? We want to be fulfilled within ourselves and then bring in somebody that's going to fulfill us, no matter who that person is, whether it's a relationship or a friendship, anything, right? We want to feel fulfilled. So that would be how we do it if we want to bring ourselves up into the higher levels, into that fifth dimensional state of consciousness, okay? So again, if you're finding resistance in listening to this, that's okay. Close your eyes, play it again from the beginning, because when the eyes are closed, the ego is not in charge. When your eyes are open, your ego is very present. And if your higher self is not stronger and you're not stronger in your higher self, your ego is going to be very present. And then it wants us to stay stuck. So it's going to say, don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking about. This way you could stay stuck and keep playing this karmic loop hamster wheel that everybody's in, okay? And so if you find yourself, and I'm just going to say this because somebody said this to me the other day and they felt really bad saying it, but I don't judge, so you could say what you want. And if you have, you know, something like this happen to you, I think it's great because it shows you that you are up leveling, right? So somebody had mentioned to me that they were falling asleep during my meditations and my videos. And that's because this transmission that's coming through is a higher level transmission and is flipping on the light codes within your field, within your electromagnetic field. When that happens and these light codes activate, the body naturally is going to want to go to sleep because it's the way it integrates. If you fall asleep listening to my videos or my meditations, pat yourself on the back that you're doing a really good job letting your light codes and key codes activate. That's powerful, right? So I would never be offended at you telling me that you're falling asleep and feeling bad that you have to tell me that and are wondering why, because you're up leveling in that moment, right? That's how this works. I can't force you to take a transmission, but your higher self can allow that if that's what is supposed to take place. So for those of you that are feeling bad about falling asleep during these, don't, because it's part of the work. It's how we do it. When I had many times with mentors in the past years ago, I could remember where I would be in the middle of listening to, you know, the webinar that I was on with them and just like have to shut my screen off so that they couldn't see me because I had to put my head back and like literally pass out. And then I'd come back online and keep going. And then I'd pass out again. It was, the frequencies were so high that it just activated so much intel in my field that I would just go to sleep. Okay. So just let yourself have those moments. Stop judging. Judgment is not helping us. It hurts us, right? So we want to just allow ourselves to experience everything that's taking place without any kind of judgment. All right. So know that I love you guys, and you know, I'm so proud of the work that all of you are doing, especially those of you that are letting me know that the work is helping you and how much you're shifting. It's fun for me to engage with you guys in this way. So I look forward to you know, more, and I'll be doing more videos. There's a lot of information coming through, so I'm hoping to be able to bring that through for you. Okay, and so I wish you all like the most amazing day. Just know how much I truly appreciate you at the deepest level, and I have so much love for all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging with me during this time, and I look forward to connecting again soon. All right, bye-bye.